Friday when really we should all be eating dinner. I'm sure you're all starving, so welcome to the Geek Girl and the Artist discussions on how geek culture influences gender identity and artistic expression. My name is Michi Trota, and I'm the moderator for this panel. I am a local Chicago fire dancer. I'm a writer. The Chicago Fire Tribe is here tonight. And I absolutely love, well, not maybe running children, but I am a complete and unrepentant geek. My capacity for 80s cartoon trivia knows no bounds. Yeah, exactly. And I really wanted to pull this panel together because I've been to a couple of these cons, and especially last year, I attended a panel where the whole topic was kind of discussing about how geek culture can help you to be an entrepreneur. And while it was a really interesting discussion, I kind of noticed that everybody on the panel, they were all men. And I had actually gotten up to ask the question, so I'm like, so guys, this is really great what you do. Do you have any advice for women on how they can utilize being a geek and kind of do the things that you do? Because sometimes there are issues with sexual discrimination, misogyny in geek culture, and they had no idea how to answer the question at all. So that just kind of brought it home to me that if I wanted to have these kind of discussions in geek culture, because I really love being a geek, I love being a nerd, it's a huge part of my own identity, and it's something that is very integral to my own identity as a woman, I kind of figured, why not have this kind of discussion? Because I am inordinately lucky to know some amazing geek women who are artists across a whole plethora of disciplines. Like here we have Kriss Abigail, who is a photographer. Kriss Abigail is, she has now leveled up to a pro photographer after 2 years. She's been photographing burlesque shows for Godzilla Productions since 2010. She is a lover of fantasy and storytelling, which she uses to create images that play with light and shadows. She loves watching Nova marathons. She loves Captain Jack Harkness. Slaughtering the Alliance, and next to her we have Susheela Bhat. Susheela is the media relations science writer and new media editor at Argonne National Labs. So we have the brain over here.
Scientist, anybody?
Susheela realized she enjoyed learning and writing about science more than she actually liked doing them while she was getting a pre-med degree in biochemistry at the University of Illinois. It's my backup career. So she switched to being a science journalism major, and she's now working for Argonne National Labs. She's worked for several Chicago publications. She knows how to take stuffy jargon and write out complex scientific concepts so the rest of us can understand what she's talking about. Her geek interests are, outside of science and writing, are reading and rereading classical literature, graphic novels, finding good beer in Chicago.
Yeah. Just come to Wisconsin, it's better.
Yeah, no, but they got a point.
No, it's true.
She will also like annoying people with her vegetarianism and will mock hipsters while secretly wondering if she is not one of them. So next to Susheela we have Erin Tipton, and I actually called her by her correct name instead of the nickname by which we all know her. She is a lighting designer with more than 10 years of professional experience in theater. She's a graduate of the University of Evansville with a degree in theatrical lighting and design and technology, and she has designed shows ranging from flashy musicals like Guys and Dolls to the abstract and artsy such as Mad Woman of Shalott and Lord of the Flies, which was performed by mimes.
Yeah, mime Lord of the Flies, guys. Wrap your mind around it, soak it up with it. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think later on we're going to be asking her about the two-man show that she worked on called Dracula versus the Nazis. She is a big, big old nerd. Her love affair with Anne McCaffrey's Dragons began at age 8. She's been a fan of the Doctor since she was tall enough to see the TV from behind the sofa. She doesn't actually believe in the existence of a 4D Indiana Jones movie. And in her spare time, she likes to knit things like Cthulhu ski masks, the ugly Jane hats, and she's even knitted a tiny little Totoro that Dawn down there in the attic will take with her.
Oh, nice. We weren't playing with it yesterday. We were throwing it around the apartment.
So next, really cool. Yeah. So next to Tippy, I'm very happy to say that we have local author Anne Mohanraj. She's the author of Bodies in Motion and 9 other titles. She has been a finalist for the Asian American Book Awards, a USA Today notable book, and her book Bodies in Motion has been translated into 6 languages. She is also the founder of the World Fantasy Award-winning and Hugo-nominated magazine Strange Horizons, so really honored to have her here today. She is also the executive director of both Desi Lit and the Speculative Literature Foundation. Her recent publications include Talking to Elephants and Jump Space. She lives in a creaky old Victorian in Oak Park just outside of Chicago with her partner Kevin, 2 small children, and a sweet dog.
Aww, that's
Yeah. So we're almost out. We've got, next to Marianne, we have Xiana Moon, who's very honored to know her. She is a local musician, just released a brand new album. Also a belly dancer. She's probably touched upon almost every single art form that we have, and if she hasn't yet, she will eventually, because she's unable to do anything else. She has served as a section editor for Relevant magazine. She works with the Read My Hips Tribal Belly Dance, and she will talk about anything having to do with Lord of the Rings, Shakespeare, of who wins in the fight between Daleks and Borg. Anybody?
Lord is so clear.
Yeah.
And if you want to see her go off on a rant, just ask her about how decades of Star Wars lore were destroyed in a single moment of the prequels. And last but not least, we have Jen Dollface. She is a local performance artist, contortionist. She likes to say that she is what happens when an opposing force meets an immovable object. I'd also like to say she made my awesome River Song costume. She made the tunic from scratch. We've got steampunk, steampunk Poison Ivy going on. She's also a really kick-ass magic player, and she will pretty much do anything with fire. Also another fire performer. She's absolutely amazing. So thank you, all of you, for being here and for participating in the panel. So pretty much, I guess I'd like to start off with, I guess, Marianne, first question. Yeah, start in the middle of the table. I guess, so how has being, I know having taken a class with you that speculative fiction and fantasy and science fiction writing has been a really big focus for you. Was that something that grew out of nerd interest that you had, or was it kind of the reverse?
So, I'm not sure how this connects to gender, but I'll just...
No, it wasn't starting off with that.
It wasn't connected to gender. So I came here as an immigrant. I was born in Sri Lanka. I came here when I was 2. And I grew up, my dad would bring me books home from the library. I think I always loved fairy tales and fantasy and science fiction, but I imprinted very heavily on Star Trek, and specifically on Spock. And so I think there's a hybridity to Spock that's very appealing for the person who is in another culture and is marked as such, right? And so I would start there, and it just kind of grew madly from that point.
Well, that's kind of interesting then, because you're talking about identifying with Spock who's male. I mean, how does that work into
matter.
It didn't matter to you at all?
No, and I mean, and I don't know how that's going to factor into the discussion, but I will add that I'm bi and I'm poly, so I don't know if that's relevant, really, but...
Yeah, if you wish, if you think it's relevant, but it's real free.
In the sense of, it's in Star Trek, you identify with I identified with people who did stuff, right? And so as much as I adore Ahura, for a variety of reasons, and I'm glad that it looks like maybe they'll let her do some more stuff in the new series, we'll see. But it was always Spock and Kirk, really, right? I mean, if I wasn't identifying with Spock, it was Kirk, because he got to go off and he got girls, he saved the universe. I mean, that's what you want to do, right?
Well, actually, that segues me good because I know a lot of your fellow panelists are also big Star Trek geeks. Dawn was running a CompuServe Star Trek group way
She
back.
warned me we were going to talk about this. Back in middle school, there was a Star Trek organization. Anybody familiar with the concept of a sim?
Yes.
Okay, so we played Sims on CompuServe, and there were Star Trek Sims, and I was second in command of the entire organization that did this back in middle school, which I always said for many years was nerdier than playing D&D. So.
Yeah. So I guess then, how did that fit into, like, I guess what I'm really curious to know for all of you is how did being a geek, what did it mean to you, especially being women as well? Like, was that something that you saw as separated from gender, or was it something that was really tightly tied and you never really thought about it? Like, you know, you talk about women and having geek interests, the typical reaction is like, oh, so she's a tomboy. Like, I don't know if that was something that anyone had ever actually thought about, like how it tied into like a lot of the things that you've now done as artists as well.
I don't know about anybody else, but in my specific lighting field, there's really kind of two types of lighting designers. There's the crusty old hippies, and there's the geeks. Like, those are the two people that get into playing with light for a living. And so